Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our cybersecurity webinar. I'm your host, Fernando Leon. And today, we're going to quickly go over the threats in the maritime industry. But before we dive in, let me just give a quick intro on Saturn Partners and their amazing SOC services, which also includes co-managed SOC services. But, we help organizations identify, assess, and reduce cybersecurity risk across IT and OT environments through first security assessments. We got to determine where are the gaps, what's going on. And then we deliver a managed security service and also, like I mentioned, a co-managed SOC program. All right, let me just quickly start this up. So for decades, maritime security has focused on physical threats, right? In today's world, shipping lines depend on much more. I mean, we're talking digital systems to keep vessels obviously moving along. Cargo is being tracked, and schedules obviously need to be maintained. So what's the challenge? Well, the challenge is that operational technology and traditional IT environments are becoming connected. They're intertwined now. So cargo management systems communicate with logistics platforms. Vessel systems connect with shore-based operations, and then you have third-party vendors that require remote access to support critical functions. And guess what? Every new connection creates efficiency, but it also creates exposure, which this exposure obviously creates a lot of risk. And in the maritime industry, you've already witnessed, this industry has already witnessed operational disruptions resulting from cyber incidents that have affected logistics and port operations. And here's the lesson. The lesson is simple. Attackers no longer need to stop a vessel physically. They only need to disrupt the systems the vessel depends on. And the question is no longer whether shipping lines are connected. The question now is whether they fully understand the risk that connectivity introduces. So one of the most dangerous assumptions in maritime cybersecurity is that OT systems are isolated. It's like it's completely offline. No, you can't get to it, right? But in reality, attackers often begin with familiar IT attack paths, such as phishing. You've got also credential theft or even vendor compromise. And once they're inside, they look for opportunities to move laterally into where? The operational environment. And, this becomes concerning when remote maintenance, access, satellite communications, you've got vessel support systems and third-party integrations are all involved. So there's a lot of paths to get to that OT side. So the maritime industry has also seen growing concerns around GPS spoofing and navigation integrity attacks. These incidents demonstrate that, attackers don't always need full network access to influence operational outcomes, which is going to have obviously a ripple effect across operations. But when IT and OT environments are connected but not properly segmented, a seemingly routine cyber incident can quickly become an operational problem affecting vessels, cargo movement, and business continuity. All right, let's go to the business consequences. How much larger they are than most organizations realize, because this is becoming a bigger problem. So most cybersecurity discussions focus on technical impacts. Maritime leaders need to focus on business consequences because a cyber disruption affecting cargo tracking, logistics systems, vessel communications, or even operational technology can delay shipments. It will interrupt schedules and create significant financial consequences. And nobody likes that bottom line being hit. So you've got to factor in these potential cyber threats. Now, every delayed container creates ripple effects throughout the supply chain. Customers miss delivery commitments, business partners lose confidence, operational costs will increase. There is no doubt in that. Now, regulators are now paying closer attention to cyber resilience across critical infrastructure sectors. And now they're including the maritime operations because they play a big role in the economy, and this economy cannot slow down. So the true cost of a cyber event is rarely the malware itself. The true cost comes from lost operational capability. You've got business interruption, regulatory scrutiny, and reputational damage that can persist long after systems have been restored. And let me just share one last slide, because the strongest maritime organizations are not the ones with the most security tools. Let's just make that abundantly clear. You can have all the sexy tools in place. It doesn't matter, because these organizations that continuously validate their readiness are the ones that are going to be able to remediate and prevent these type of outages. Now, security assessments help identify hidden exposure, the gaps I was mentioning earlier, across both IT and OT environments, because you want to get to those gaps before they become a weakness and they're exploited. And let me share that these security assessments provide leadership with realistic understanding of the risk and on the operational side, and obviously the IT side. Monitoring also plays a critical role. Visibility into suspicious activity, you've got abnormal behavior, emerging threats that can significantly reduce the time between intrusion and response. And most importantly, organizations must challenge assumptions. Everybody assumes that, oh, we've got these tools in place, we're secure, we're compliant. No, that is not the case. Assumptions are dangerous. And many shipping lines believe they're secure because controls have been deployed. You got policies, you got those sexy tools. The more important question is this: whether those controls would withstand a real world disruption scenario. Cyber resilience is not built on confidence. It's built on validation. And how do you get to validation? Well, you need a partner. You need a strong SOC partner that doesn't go to sleep, doesn't go on vacation, doesn't call in sick. They can scale. Now, so let me just wrap up, because I'm now moved on to Saturn partners and the SOC solution that we have to offer. But let me wrap up this first half with this last point I want to make. Saturn partners is working primarily with the maritime industry on keeping them secure and compliant on the IT and OT side. So how can we help? Well, we provide security assessments, right? We're going to help uncover hidden weaknesses across vessel systems, operational technology, remote access, and corporate networks before attackers can find that exposure. Before they exploit those gaps. So we provide 24/7 monitoring, which improves visibility and obviously will help detect threats before they disrupt cargo movement or vessel operations. And most IT teams can handle this, but the after hours, that is where this is where we bring the value, because co-managed security allows internal teams to gain additional expertise and resources, okay, without losing control of the environment. We work side by side with your organization, so your IT team is always in the know. And most importantly, maritime organizations must move beyond compliance checklists and focus on operational resilience. And the last point I want to make is the objective is not simply passing an audit. It's ensuring your organization can withstand respond to, and recover from a real-world cyber event. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Radiant. So, Lee, give control to Mr. Dan Carcone. He can share. And let me just do a quick intro on Radiant. Radiant is our SIM partner who provides our maritime clients with a very solid platform that is ingesting data from the IT and OT side, and it's interpreting potential threats. But I'll leave it to Dan. Dan's a much better representative of the product. So Dan, it's all you, buddy.
All righty. Thanks for that, Fernando.
You got it.
All right, Dan, you should be all set up. And Brandon, thanks for joining.
No problem. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I'll give you a quick example of one of our maritime customers. They've got around 10 ships. They need to adhere to the Coast Guard security rule. I think it's called Cybersecurity in the Maritime Transportation System. They had a managed service provider previously, but they never alerted them of anything, and they weren't sure what they were paying for. And so they came to Saturn Partners, and they brought us in, and we, now they're using us. They were looking for something that included a SIM. So they were looking for an AI solution to monitor their security events, but it also needed to include a SIM and 24/7 support. So that's where it came in. And they not only wanted to monitor their security tools like their Office 365 and SentinelOne and Mimecast and other stuff, but they also wanted to monitor their vessel operation systems. So good example of a current customer that we have. So usually when I chat with customers like you, what they'll worry about is all kind of the same stuff. They worry about alert fatigue, limited resources, OpEx costs, there's new attacks out there, there's soiled tools, meaning, hey, I got to log into this system and that system, and my team might not even know how to use them all, right? There's growing SIM costs, and really what it all boils down to is all the same stuff. Is people don't want to miss real attacks. They want to respond quickly. And if they can save some money doing it, that would be great. And what people are doing today without using us is they're hiring more people. They're getting a managed service provider or MDR. They're using SOAR, they're using SIM. And a lot of this stuff is not helping as much as they thought it would. So a lot of customers will come to us for our AI SOC analyst, and when they see the automation that they do, they'll say, "Oh, you know what? I've been struggling with my SOAR for 2 years. It's never been to where I want it to be. Got all these playbooks that are out of date. And you guys can do the automation without the playbooks. Maybe I'm going to use you guys." On the SIM side, a lot of times I hear customers say, "Listen, my SIM is really tuned." And when I drill into it, what they're doing is not looking at as much stuff, so they don't get as many alerts. Well, not looking at as much stuff is not tuning. It's not looking at as much stuff. And with AI, we can look at more than what customers are looking at with their SIM and eliminate all the false positives and leave them with just what's important. And then on a managed service provider side, I hear two things from customers. I hear either A, which I was talking about in the one customer is, hey, they never escalate anything to me and I'm not sure what I'm paying for. Or I hear B, which is they're escalating way too much stuff to me. I'm doing all this work anyway. And frankly, what they're sending me is not really action. So what we have is we have one platform that solves all this. The number one thing is an AI SOC analyst. So we're using AI to automate what a level 1 SOC analyst would do so that the SOC or security team can focus on actual incidents. And we're just telling you, hey, listen, out of the 10,000 alerts you got, 5 of them are important. Here's where they are. Here's what's important about it. You can catch real attacks. The other piece of this is not just about automating the triage and investigation, but we can automate the response. I want to delete an email. I want to isolate a device. I want to block a user. I want to do something about it. We can do that for you, or you can go in and click a button in our system and do it. And what this allows you to do is have one place to solve the problem and solve it in seconds and respond in seconds, where a lot of times the teams don't see, that many attacks. Maybe it's the IT team. They don't see that many attacks, and they have to log into SafeLinks, and they have to log into Enter ID, and they have to go over here, right? It's difficult for them, and they got to Google and figure out how to do it. And they can, in our system, click a button and do it. Or as you become more comfortable, you can automate that response as well. And then the third thing is we have this integrated log management, which is the SIEM functionality, right? And so with the customer that I was talking about that has around 10 ships, they had that managed service provider. The problem was the managed service provider provided their SIEM for them. So if they were going to replace it, they had to have something that has SIEM functionality. And so we have the integrated log management and that SIEM functionality also as part of it. So the way it works is security alerts come in. Our AI will grab those security alerts, and it understands what they are. It'll enrich that alert. It puts a plan in place automatically on what it's going to do to respond to it. It executes that plan, and it comes up with a conclusion. If that conclusion is malicious, you can respond directly from our system by either clicking a button or automating that response. Now, what's interesting about it is we're doing backwards of what you think we would be doing. The whole point of our AI is not to prove that every alert coming from your security tools is malicious. The whole point of our AI is to prove it's benign. If we can prove it's benign, then we can close the ticket and get rid of it. If the AI can't prove it's benign, it's going to escalate, and it's going to be for two reasons. Number one, we can prove it's malicious. Here's all the reasons why. And again, we can run automation. Or if the AI can't prove it's benign and can't prove it's malicious, it'll escalate it to you to look at manually so we don't miss anything. Because we think a false negative is worse than a false positive, meaning if we don't tell you about it, you're never going to see it. So usually like 99% of the stuff is benign, a handful of stuff is true positives, an even smaller amount, maybe a couple things a week, it says, hey, I can't figure this out, make a manual decision. We also have this integrated log management that comes as part of the product. So it's super fast log management. You can run queries. You can have natural language queries. We can just ask a natural language a question and it'll run. So anything that you can do in your SIEM today, we can do with our log management. And it's much, much faster than a SIEM. I've got a customer that's a big enterprise customer. They're about 25,000 employees. They originally bought us just for our AI SOC analyst piece. When their analysts started using us, they said, listen, our analysts are using, you guys to do the searching and not the SIEM. We're going to replace our SIEM with you because you're so much faster than the SIEM we have today. The other thing is there are other AI SOC products out there. The problem with those AI SOC products is they only do a handful of things, which are these things on the left. So if you go to any of the other websites for any competitive product, they're all going to say the same thing. We do phishing, endpoint, network, cloud, identity, threat hunting. Right? But if you say, hey, well, what about my web app firewall? What about my OT stuff? What about my vessel operation systems? They're going to say we can't monitor it because our AI is not trained on it. So we have an AI SOC analyst like other people have. But on top of it, we have an AI research agent that the others don't have. So the first time an alert comes in, the AI SOC analyst doesn't know what to do with. It sends a request to an AI research agent, says, how do I solve this? And it teaches the AI SOC analyst what to do. So we can do any security alert for any security tool. And that's why we've been doing really good in the maritime industry.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I was planning on doing a quick demo. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So what I'll do is it'll be really quick. I'll just show you, kind of how the product works. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right.
And Fernando, feel free to jump in if you have any questions. And same with Brandon. I enabled both of your microphones.
Great. So this is the product. When you first log in, it puts you in this Operations Insight tab. This is not where you're spending most of your time, but it's a nice overview of this environment. So in this case here, there was 4,000 alerts that turned into 86 cases, so it's a 98% alert reduction. You can see active cases, vendor false positive rates, MTTD. You can actually come in here and punch your own figures and say, you know what? It takes my team 5 minutes to triage, 130 to investigate, 12 to contain, 30 to remediate. I pay them X amount a year, and you can figure out headcount savings and dollar savings and things like that. But again, this is not where you're spending most of your time. There's two tabs. There's the cases tab and the alerts tab. The alerts is every alert from every security tool, whether it's benign or malicious, we show it to you. So customers like this because it's not a black box. Everything the AI is doing is exposed to them. So in this case here, I'm just going to pick the top one. It gives it to you all in layman's terms, where literally you can put a summer intern in front of this thing and they can understand what's happening. Right? So this was an alert that came in from CrowdStrike. If you look at the conclusion, it says the investigation revealed a clear indicator of malicious activity. The root user is trying to execute an uncommon CHMOD operation. If you still don't understand what that means, you can see here the attacker's intent. They're trying to execute a malicious script to gain unauthorized access or control of the system. And what's great about our system is that we're stitching data together. So we may see a firewall tunneling alert come in. We'll switch to your EDR tool, tell you the executable did it, whose machine it was, what ship it's on, all this information, right? So we can stitch all this data together where your team doesn't have to do that. So instead of your team, spending, hours trying to figure out what's going on, in 2 minutes, the thing is fully triaged, ready to go. All the data is there for you. Now, if your team wants all the details, that we have, SIM functionality where they can go in and run queries. But the beauty is all this stuff is right here just by you clicking on it, right? So if I want to see the raw query that came in from CrowdStrike, here it is. It's right here. I don't have to go to somewhere else or go to the SIM to get this data, right? Everything's in one place. If I want to see what the AI was doing, I can click right here and it'll give me all the details of what this AI did. And again, it's all in layman's terms. So you can see here, it did about 40 things for this one incident and said, hey, I want to review the process tree for CHMOD and bash. It's doing all this stuff. And the beauty is it gives it to you in layman's terms on what it's trying to do. It's trying to understand the context in which CHMOD and bash are processed, right? It'll give you it all in easy to understand terms. Or if you're level 2 or level 3 people really want to drill in, they can see the query that was run. They can see the results of the query. All the data is here in one place without them having to go someplace else. So they don't have to go into the SIM and run all this stuff. Again, we do have the log management where they can run it manually, but most people will just click through it and get all the data without having to go someplace else. The other beauty is, and in this case here, it was all going to CrowdStrike. I'm going to actually pick a different one. I'm going to pick one here. I know it's a good example. In this case here, if I look at the triage outline for this, it went out. The first thing it did is went to threat intelligence. Then it went to Okta. Then it went back to Okta and Google Workspace. And then it went back to threat intelligence and back to Okta and back to Google. So it's going to all these different places. And in the end, it's benign. Right. So even though this thing is benign, you can see it did 25 or 30 things. All the stuff that AI did is exposed to you. And if anyone says, hey, why did you say this is not malicious? Well, we did these 30 things and here's all the stuff that we did. Now, the other cool thing is it'll take all these alerts and it escalates them automatically into cases. So if somebody does 500 things, it's not going to be 500 alerts you have to look at. It's going to be one case. In this case here, this is 2 alerts, but this could be 500 alerts or whatever it is. All the details for these alerts are here. Like I showed you, they're all connected to this. But you can actually take action right from here without having to go into these other systems, right? So I can say, hey, you know what? I want to reset this user's password. You know what I want to do here? I want to block this IP address, or, I want to do something about it. So you can go solve the problem right here without having to go someplace else to do that. All from one place. So it makes it very simple for you to look at what's happening. The AI is going to look at all the alerts coming from all your security tools. It's going to do triage and investigation. And when I talk to customers, the Maritime customer I was talking about, they're like, listen, we don't really look at this stuff very often, right? Unless there's some big problem, nobody's really monitoring as much. And we have this managed service provider, but they never tell us anything. Right. And so now you have visibility in what's happening. The AI is monitoring it for you. Right. And then, anything that you need is here right at your fingertips, even if you want to take response. So that's all I had as far as the demo. I just thought it would be a quick example of, how it works, how you can take response. And if there's any questions or, if, the team wants me to address anything else, please let me know.
Oh, that's fantastic. I guess I have one question in regard to just how should a CIO or CISO measure whether their SIM investment is actually delivering value?
You know, it's a hard question to answer. And the reason is that a lot of times people are using their SIM investment just to say, yes, we have logging. And are they finding attacks? Are they seeing stuff happening that, in their environment? And a lot of times, if you're not seeing stuff, it's actually bad because there's probably things happening out there that
Mhm.
that you're not noticing, right? And so if your team or your SIM is not alerting you that, hey, there's issues, or if you have a managed service provider that's not alerting you and saying, hey, there's phishing attacks happening and there's firewall tunneling is going on and things, then I would worry that there's things happening that you're not seeing. So if it's not alerting you to things that your team's looking at, would be my biggest concern.
I got you. Okay, thanks. What's like the biggest mistake that you see organizations make when they're implementing a SIM solution like this?
The biggest mistake is that a lot of times they won't put as much in the SIM as they want because it's expensive, right? We're not charging based on ingestion on purpose because of that. So a lot of customers that have a SIM will say, listen, it's costly. The more I put in it, the more it costs me. So I'm not going to put as much in it, right? And when you don't put as much in it, you're not seeing what, the issues that are out there. And that's really a problem with SIMs is, they don't have enough data in order to make accurate decisions because customers don't want to put as much in there because it's costly.
Okay, thank you. That's great. Fernando, do you have any questions?
Oh, that was great. That was great, though. Thanks, Dan.
No worries.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you making time for us.
Yeah, you guys are great. Anytime.
All right. All right.
Awesome. So I guess one last question we could close on is this: everyone attending today could leave with one recommendation from you guys. What would it be?
The biggest thing is that, in today's environment, you want to have AI monitoring your environment because the hackers are using AI to attack it. And
Yeah,
if you're not using AI, you're behind the ball because, when they're using AI to attack your environment, everything's happening so quickly. It's not like the old days where, there was some kid in his basement, trying to hack into you. They're just pushing a button and it's off and running. So you need to be able to keep up with that, and you need AI to do that.
yeah, absolutely. I agree. How do they balance automation with maintaining confidence in their security decisions?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Was that a question?
Yeah, it was a question. Yeah. How do you think organizations can balance the automation with maintaining their confidence in their security decisions?
Well, so that's an important question, actually. And that's why I showed you that even on the benign stuff, we show you what's happening. A lot of these AI solutions out there are a black box, and you need to
Okay.
be able to initially, make sure you understand what the solution's doing. And that's why we expose it all to you, right? Customers, once
Yeah,
they start using us after 30, 60, 90 days, they're not going through and looking at all the alerts. They're only looking at the cases. But when they first get it,
absolutely.
they're going through, they're looking at, even the benign stuff to make sure that they're confident in what that AI is doing. So you need to make sure you have visibility into what's happening with AI. A black box is not good enough.
Agree. Thank you. That's a great answer.
Mhm.
All righty. Well, Fernando, you want to close it out?
Yeah. No, I can close it out. Let me just, Dan, thanks again for giving us a comprehensive overview on your tool there. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
No worries. And I wish I could figure out how to stop sharing my screen for you, but I'm trying.
Here we go. I'll revoke it 1 second.
No worries. No worries. All right, let me just close it out to everybody who will be tuning in and who has tuned in. Thank you for joining us. And if there's one message we hope you take away from today's discussion is that, well, the maritime cybersecurity is no longer solely an IT issue, right? It's an operational resilience issue because you got cargo movement, vessel availability, you've got supply chain continuity, and most important, well, I don't know if it's the most important, but regulatory readiness, right? You got to be compliant, but also secure on both the IT and OT environments. And the organizations best prepared for tomorrow's threats are the ones validating their security posture today. So before a disruption tests your team, take the opportunity to understand where operational exposure exists, because assumptions, they're creating risk. And whether your organization can withstand a real world cyber event is well, you need somebody to come in and ensure there's no gaps, and you can only do that through a cyber risk or cybersecurity assessment. So we encourage you to start that conversation now and take that step toward a more resilient maritime operation. And if you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to Lee at Lee, obviously Lee at SaturnPartners.com, or you can email me at Fernando at SaturnPartners.com. Thanks again for listening. Appreciate Dan and his team, and handing it off to you there, Lee.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, appreciate your time, and thanks as always. And until next time.
All right, buddy.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.